hyena testicles, and a dress code that includes a durag. His manifesto is full of unreasoned policy proposals and crazy populism. And even the 3-bedroom state house he is building back home stands as a monument to his rich list of contradictions. That is on page 2 and 3 of the Daily Nation. Still on the front page, more pressure for parents as schools reopen for new term. Well, schools will be opening for the second term of the 2022 academic year tomorrow in what promises to be a challenging time for learners, teachers and parents, as the lingering effects of the pandemic ravage the structures of basic education for the 3rd year running. All right, so let's get to the second page. And of course, like I said, the second and third page are all about Wajackoya, and that is one of the presidential contenders. And this is a report that was done by the Daily Nation, where they went to his home, back home, and of course looking at where he came from. And it talks about the presence of the homestead in Wajackoya's home, and indeed the village has bolstered the celebratory air around Wajackoya's presidential candidacy. And of course, rarely is a uniformed police officer's presence ever felt there. But so that's quite a significant move for them. I don't know, maybe I'll get my comments from the panelists. We've heard so much about Wajackoya, the wave of Wajackoya, and we've seen his popularity rating actually shooting up. But then you also have this very unconventional policies and, you know, agendas in his manifesto. Prof, what do you think of Wajackoya and of course, his candidacy for the presidential race?
Yeah, Zana, we know everybody runs for very many different reasons. So first of all, we have to start analyzing that. Why is Wajackoya running? And the second thing is, why are people really warming up to him? You know, traditionally, when you're looking at the 2 leading candidates, that is Raila Odinga and Ruto, they are going to be guarded about making some very, let's say, not too controversial statements, being very conservative, because they know how government works, what the community is expecting of them. But Wajackoya presents some kind of comic relief to the people who are listening to it, because when you listen to Ruto, even if you look at manifesto that Ruto launched, the Kenya Kwanza, it looks very similar to what Raila launched. You look at what Agenda 4 looks like. So this is like a comic relief by coming with things like a very strange, like narcotics, coming with things like sale of hyena testicles. So he's offering comic relief. Unfortunately, there some Kenyans seems to be warming up to that and enjoying his. And that's why popularity is rising. Some people are saying, where is the option? Always in politics, since I was born, they always think about what is the alternative. So you look at Raila, you look at Ruto, don't look too different because they know government, but Wajackoya is the opposite of the two. And that's why you see his popularity can be rising. But if you look at what he's proposing... But
some would say he's arguably probably one of the most learned among the presidential contenders. So he has certainly, you know, I don't know, I believe about 16 degrees, you know, and he's quite learned. So he probably has an understanding, although he has these unconventional policies and agendas, that perhaps there is something to it.
Yeah, but you see, learning, the learning, let's say educated. There's a difference between, my dear colleague here is telling, there's a difference between being educated and being learned. Educated he is, so those are the degrees. But being learned is, how do you apply what he has as a degree to what he's actually proposing? How much logic does it make?
Okay. Philip, your take on the same.
Thank you very much. I think, as my friend has said, is one of the epitomes of comic relief. And I think if there will be some break in this politics, you will provide some humor. But going by what you have said that is learned, I think we teach at the university with my friend here, and such weird policies and manifestos, I think they'll never find room in this country, because Wajackoya is just running because maybe in the qualifications of becoming president, you need to be above 35.
Yes. And
you need to be having an ID, and as such is just filling space. In science, you remember we used to have what you call matter, anything that has weight and occupies space. So we have the 50 presidential candidates that had appeared to offer themselves to be president, but I think is among the lucky ones who made it to the list. So I think it comes.
Right.
About the 16 degrees, I think for me, I think if you have gone to school and you still provide such policies, I think there is a problem. So I think we need to really interrogate, because really when you come up with such weird, there are some things you cannot talk here during the day, where I come from. There's some aspects here, like when you talk about hyena testicles, God forbid, you can't even talk about them during the day.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay, we'll move on. And of course, very interestingly, let me just quote the Daily Nation. It talks about, he comes from Matungu. He has not only captured the imagination of his restive village, but also planted a seed that could transform the lives of not just his immediate family members, but also the community around him. See here, whether or not he wins, he is Rais, the one who dared to dream and the one who pushed the levers of democracy in ways never seen or heard before. Very interesting. All right, so on the fourth page of the Daily Nation, IEBC challenges media to help in ensuring a free and fair poll. Well, media houses will be given a chance to report live every process of the coming election, says Chebukati, and of course the Electoral Commission has asked media houses to send personnel across the 46,000 polling stations to help in ensuring a free, fair and credible election. IEBC said they will be this week releasing guidelines on the results transmission. He was speaking during the pre-national election conference with the media and pollsters that was yesterday in Nairobi. And of course, Chebukati says the media will be given a chance to report live process of the coming election. Well, he also talked about, consequently, the commission is ready to engage the media. And nonetheless, IEBC says the media should remain professional in their line of duty as Kenyans take seriously every report disseminated by the various outlets. And of course, also pollsters have been invited to be part of this. Remember, today and tomorrow there's going to be a conference held by IEBC. But you see, there's still a number of issues, and we'll certainly be getting deeper into this in our conversation. A number of issues that have cropped up, and they're bedeviling the IEBC. We just have about 28 days to the election, so that's very short time of all the court cases. Prof, where do you think we are in your own assessment in terms of the election preparedness?
If you look at, first of all, look at the election timetable that was released by IEBC. We are not where we're supposed to be right now. Look at the point that today, we realize today our friend Sakaja has been gazetted by IEBC, yet there's a court pending in, there's a case pending in court. You look at the place where we are, ballot papers should have been printed by now. Now some cases still holding it. It shows the most important question is who is in control. And the question who is in control brings a lot of controversy because of the fact that IEBC should have followed their timetable diligently. The time when people are supposed to have been, the issues are supposed to be dispensed should have been dispensed in time. For example, why was Sakaja so important until now we are printing ballot papers and he's still not been cleared? Was there a process on which every degree was supposed to be cleared? Clearing a degree, me and him were professors, we know very well. Clearing a degree process is very easy. A court has no jurisdiction to clear a degree. They don't award a degree. Who was supposed to have said, this case is closed? So I'm realizing that we are playing with time, and in fact, for the first time, I'm sure Kenya needs to be concerned to look at how is IEBC conducting the process, because they are guided by law, and they're supposed to follow a strict timetable. On the issue of court, now, after a gazette has been done, this guy has been gazetted.
Right.
I don't know whether the lawyer here, Mambolo, is coming to tell us if the court can overturn a gazette notice.
Right.
So these are issues that are still going to look at. At the same time, by saying the media will report, is the media going to tally? Is media going to declare who has won? Or media is going to report what IEBC is doing? Because sometimes it may look like media is going to be highly involved.
Of course, what IEBC, I think, is trying to say, and that was from yesterday's conference, was so that there would be, the presence of, an independent media would be able to relay the results as provided by the IEBC. Yeah, but I'll say the thing, whatever media outlays will it be taken to legit by the citizens? All right.
or whose word are we waiting for? I think there must be some, what I call conundrum in that. There must be some gaps there.
All right,
so the IEBC should come and say, when media is invited to outlay the results, is whatever they say final, or whose word is final? Because Kenyans will be waiting.
Okay, and we're going to get much deeper into that conversation. Allow me to get to the 5th page. Sonko's name missing as IEBC lists candidates for the August polls. And of course, it's not just Sonko. The commission also ignored Wiper's replacement Kisauni MP Limbogo, and this is despite IEBC lawyer Edwin Mukele confirming to the High Court that the party had submitted a letter to the agency. And the High Court had temporarily barred IEBC from publishing Mombasa gubernatorial candidates in the Kenya Gazette. He also wants a declaration that he is duly qualified as a candidate, that is Sonko, for the seat of the governor in the August 9th poll. So this is another conundrum also facing IEBC. The IEBC Disputes Tribunal said Sonko failed to submit his original degree certificate and a certified copy in breach of Article 75 of the Constitution. Philip, I mean, we've seen Sonko's woes. Things have been happening. He wants to be on the ballot, but, you know, the court seems to have, you know, made it stand on this. And not just him, we also have the Kiambu senatorial hopeful, Karungo Wathangwa.
Sonko is, we've just discussed Wajakoya.
Right.
And one of the people also will be very interesting in this election is Sonko. And the fact that he has gone to the coast and he wants to be governor is very interesting. I think he's going to provide a very big challenge. I'm just from Mombasa, and people are warming up to Sonko.
Oh, yeah, in fact, we've seen from the latest polls, he's actually gaining ground.
So I think he has some tactics, and those who intend to vie in Mombasa, they have to be prepared for that man. So I think we are just waiting for IEBC. I think Sonko is among the people in Kenya who have not been cleared. I think Sakaja and the others have been gazetted. So I think the best thing for IEBC to do, just allow everybody to vie. And then the Kenyans themselves are going to determine in the ballot. Because all these cases, we even have some MPs who are still having cases, and yet they have already served the 2 terms or even 3 terms. So I think it's good for IEBC to be prepared and wait for the court cases and determine those that need to go ahead.
All right, we'll get to that as well. Page 6, very quickly, NMG board chair urges Kenyans to upload peace. The Nation Media Group board chairman Wilfred Kiboro has advised Kenyans to uphold peace before, during and after the general election. Right down on the same page, city governor candidates to start off debates today. Like I said, of course, the presidential debate secretaries series, beg your pardon, begins at the Catholic University of Eastern Africa main campus today. The Nairobi governor candidates expected to face off at, that will begin at 5 p.m. And there you have it. We'll certainly be bringing you that live. Also on the 7th page of the Daily Nation, undernourishment stalks Kenya as food crisis soars. While in April, CS Kobia said about 3 million Kenyans were facing starvation. The WHO chief backs efforts by countries to tax unhealthy foods and subsidize health options. Still on page 7, police in pursuit of gang terrorizing Naivasha. Well, they are actually looking for a 6-member gang that terrorized traders in Karagita Estate in the outskirts of Naivasha last week. And Raila, I am still opposed to tea plucking machines. Well, the Azimio One Kenya Coalition Party presidential candidate has supported calls to withdraw tea plucking machines by multinationals operating in Kenya. Very interesting report there for farmers, actually. And still on the Daily Nation, just very quickly, I think I'll take this as the last page. Raila plotting to derail August polls, says Ruto. And the Deputy President, William Ruto, yesterday actually rubbished the fresh electoral demands by Azimio la Umoja and Kenya Coalition flag bearer Raila Odinga, accusing him of planning to derail the August election. He was speaking to the residents of Turkana County. The DP says Odinga's aim is to scuttle the elections by mounting unreasonable demands on the IEBC. Prof, is Raila Odinga making unreasonable demands, looking at the timelines we have?
Not really, because these are things which were very clear to IEBC in the beginning. Like I told you, who is in charge, who should be able to make the last word. I'm sure there must be some clarifications around here. I think when IEBC come up with a timetable for towards the election, because IEBC will be the one to be blamed if election do not come on time, I'm sure everybody needs to come and obey these things. And of course, what we are trying to say, what Raila is claiming is not unconstitutional, but of course, as been stated by his other rival, for example, the Kenya Kwanza people, they have to take a balance. And I wanted to say here that there's what we call in economics, prisoner's dilemma. If the demands Raila is putting may require that elections will be pushed further, I'm sure he does not want that. He may actually have to compromise because, for example, what Chebukati did by even trying to print ballot papers before actually gazettement has been done is violation of the law.
All right.
Should they require Chebukati to resign? If Chebukati resigns, election cannot be held on 9th of August.
Okay.
And I'm sure now that's whereby the prisoner's dilemma comes in. You want to confess that you stole, and you think that if you confess may hurt you, at the same time you want to hide that you did no crime. So in this matter, Raila and Ruto and all presidential candidates, all the IEBC and all institutions involved in the election must have a compromise to realize that one thing must happen, that the election must take place on August 9th.
All right.
And from that matter, they can find an agreement.
All right, Philip, that's the irreducible minimum that Odinga is putting up. That no manual register, he says, that is the only condition he's putting for IEBC. Your take?
I think Raila Odinga should be very careful because in all elections that he has participated, sometimes he cries foul of what is happening to IEBC. So he needs to be very careful not to lose votes because people may imagine that he always comes up with this script closer to the elections. So I think the other thing for all the candidates, Ruto, Raila, and Wajakoya, and the others, they need to leave IEBC alone. They need to concentrate on playing the game in the field. And I watch football, and most of the times we complain about the referees.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, when he has given a penalty, you just have to accept.
All
so
right.
people have to leave the referees alone. I think also fever is catching up with the candidates, and some of these demands is just the workload that they have now, right now. Closer, especially when they hear 30 days to go, 25 days to go. So there's a lot of fever among the candidates.
All right.
Yeah.
Still on the same page, on 11th page, Uhuru adopts a low-key role in Raila campaign. Allies and strategists say taking Azimio candidate to the mountain would have been good campaign fodder for the deputy president. And let me just close the Daily Nation. Quick look at the Standard. On the front page of the Standard, lofty promises. Whose plan will unlock the trillions? That's a big question. Where will the candidates get the money to fund the ambitious projects they're promising Kenyans, with the servicing of debt and salaries taking the bulk of what the country collects? This has been a huge debate since the launch of their manifestos. You can see on the deputy president's side, resettling the squatters, establishing a land settlement fund will require about 150 billion with an initial budget of 50 billion. Also, money needed to raise health spending to 15% of the national budget, amounting to 495 billion shillings. On the other hand, on the Azimio side, tax holiday, giving SMEs 7-year and 3-year tax holiday on startups and waiver of all fees means KRA will not collect about 405 billion in that period. And also money needed per year to pay the poor, 6,000 monthly stipend. That's about 104 billion shillings. Where is the money coming from, Prof? I think we've discussed this, and we have economists speaking on this, we have political pundits speaking on this, and it's a big issue.
I think that is where, for example, I was here with you when you were launching the manifesto for Azimio, and we discussed about what proposals have been put in place. People are saying there'll be, for example, revenue allocation. And I can tell you, for example, Zainab, as an economist, sometimes people think when you raise taxes, you collect more. But when you raise taxes, you push your consumers below the the consumption point, whereby now they go into things which are untaxable, and therefore you lose taxes. So by lowering taxes, actually you can be able to get more taxes. And when that's what we analyzed, the one as we found that there was some soundness on how they want to raise this kind of money. At the same time, then manufacturing they are going to do. All those things they are putting a proposal, manufacturing in Kenya, pharmaceutical, all those things will be able to bring taxes. People working will be able to bring taxes. But then, what is missing at the point now, which no one can actually be able to tell you in detail, saying that corruption is, we are losing money on corruption, we are losing 2 billion per day in corruption, we shall bring this money to this way. Exactly, they have not told us how they are going to fight corruption. So, what you can say from the two people, for example, what I can tell you in the end, the bottom line here is, between the two people, whom can you trust? This is where this goes.
So it goes down to what, the individual?
Whom can you trust? Because we saw that the Azimio, after launching manifesto, it took almost a month before Kenya Kwanza launched a manifesto.
Does that make any difference?
Yes, because of course somebody could have copied. You know, students normally who submit the exams the last minute tend to be copying the ones who have put the exam before.
All right.
But the copying here did not improve the copying by answering the questions that Azimio did not answer.
Right.
And for that matter, the question now is, because somebody has put his manifesto, and somebody, if you call, there's a software professor, you know, in universities, we call it Turn It In.
Okay, Prof.
If I take your manifesto and put in that software, we can find there's 98% plagiarism. So if that is the case with this manifesto, the question as to how you're going to finance this has not been answered. So let's go to whom can you trust between the two of them, because each of them has the challenge of how will you finance your manifesto.
All right. Philip, I'll give you a chance as well to make a response on that as well. Just quickly, I hope our cameras can be able to focus on this as well. You have Azimio. We will give 6,000 to 2 million needy households and introduce Baba Care. Hustler Fund. My government will use a bottom-up economic transformation approach. Wajakoya, we will legalize marijuana and start snake farming. Agano, my government will lower pay-as-you-earn by 50%. And you have Wanjiko on the other hand. The government makes nothing. It takes everything. You should tell me how you'll stop taking. Philip.
Yeah, at the end of the day, I think these promises are very good for Kenyans. Kenyans want their lives to improve. I think the ultimate is which presidential candidates will bring in policies and issues that will improve the lives of Kenyans. Kenyans want the money in their pockets. I think after all is said and done, the lives of Kenyans have to be better, because you find that it is the first time that we have presidential candidates bringing manifestos. I think we should even be grateful for what these presidential candidates are doing, because at least it has been known that Kenyans just give promises, but this time around the promises are documented, and I think Kenyans will just have to go to the ballot and choose which candidate will improve their lives.
All right.
Yes.
All right. I think we will end it there on our newspaper reviews, but just quickly, Business Daily at the front page, Nairobi water prices to rise up to 40%. This is very interesting. I think it's a question that could be raised to the contenders today. And on the Star front page, Raila Ruto top guns jostle for House jobs, and you have a number of people there. Positions for Speaker, majority and minority leaders as well as whips would be up for grabs. You have the faces there. Eldas MP, Aidan Kenan, you have Jeremiah Kioni, Opio Wandai, Naomi Shaban, that's from Azimio. On the other hand, Aidan Duale, Amason Kingi, Kimani Shungo, as well as Moses Wetangula from Kenya Kwanza. So that will also be very interesting. So we'll take a short break, and when we come back, we'll be getting into the conversation with my panelists much deeper and in-depth. And of course, you can also be part of this conversation. Our Twitter handle is at NTV Kenya, at Zainab Ismail. The hashtag to use this morning is AM Live NTV. And if you feel you want to make a call and make a contribution, you can call us. The number is going to run right at the bottom of the screen. Stay with us, we'll be back.